Fun fact about Graveler and GSC lower tiers, at one point, it was considered for a rise to underused. Thank God that didn't happen. Graveler is a mixed bag in GSC and U. It's quite similar to Magneton in UU. It has some great traits and some abysmal ones. Graveler is a rapid spinner that beats Pineco, but it's very slow. It brings a resistance to normal, but it's destroyed by any water or grass attack. It has explosion and good physical defense, but poor special defense. It's also weak to ground and fighting. Graveler is still decent though. It's the best rapid spinner in GSC/NU, which is quite valuable considering how powerful spikes are. It also packs a punch, thanks to its high attack, explosion, and unresisted stab combination. Graveler's flaws hold it back a lot though. Despite its great traits, you don't see it around that much. Let's analyse the rock. No, not Dwayne. Graveler is mostly used as a spinner, who can use its typing to check some particular Pokemon. Graveler's typing grants it a valuable resistance to normal. This lets it counter Fearow, check Curse Wigglytuff and Statler, and tank Explosion from the likes of Pineco, Weezing, and Sudowoodo. This explosion resistance is perfect for making Graveler a fantastic Pineco answer. Graveler can switch into Pineco with little fear, spin away its spikes, and 2-hit KO it with Hidden Power Rock. Unlike other spinners, like Hitmonlee or Tentacool, Graveler survives explosion with ease. It's also more reliable at threatening Pineco. Graveler can use its normal resistance to find rapid spin opportunities. It can come in and rest some Pokemon like Wigglytuff and fire it off. GSC/NU's only rapid spin blocker is Ghastly, who is very uncommon and unable to spin block Graveler anyway, because of Stab Earthquake. Graveler has a high attack stat and access to Stab on both Earthquake and Hidden Power Rock. Nothing in GSC/NU resists ground and rock, so Graveler can be difficult to switch into. Earthquake 2-hit KOs common Pokemon like Weezing, Ninetales, Magmar, and Sudowoodo. Graveler's high attack also means it 3-hit KOs bulky Pokemon like Octillery and Wigglytuff. Hidden Power Rock 2-hit KOs the tier's flying types, Fearow and Xatu, as well as Pineco. Hidden Power Rock is used over Rock Slide because Rock Slide is illegal with Rapid Spin. Graveler also packs Explosion, which OHKOs everything that doesn't resist it. The tier's normal resists, Sudowoodo, Magnemite, and opposing Graveler can't safely absorb it either because of Earthquake. Explosion is useful for breaking holes in the opposing team's defenses. You can use it to surprise KO Octillery on the switch, or to break through Curse boosted Wigglytuff. It's just a good safety net to have against physical setup sweepers like Statler and Wigglytuff. Graveler's high physical defense mean it can tank boosted attacks and retaliate with a KO. While all this sounds great though, Graveler isn't as good in practice. Graveler is dirt slow, so it often needs to tank a hit before pulling off a spin. This isn't as reliable as you might think. Outside of normal types and Pineco, Graveler doesn't match up well into many Pokemon. Its special defense and HP make it very poor at tanking special attacks. Xatu outspeeds and 2-hit KOs Graveler. Its typing means it is obliterated by any strong water and grass attack. Pokemon like Octillery, Dugong, Chinchou, and even Azumarill outspeed and ravage Graveler. Pokemon like Weezing commonly use Hidden Power Grass for it too. Its typing also leaves it with weaknesses to ground and fighting, meaning it can't handle Dugtrio, Primeape, Statler, or Kingler particularly well. Even resisted special attacks, like Magmar's Fire Blast, do hefty chunks to Graveler. Graveler is not good at checking things long term, especially if it's taking chip damage from spikes. While Graveler is immune to electric, it can't handle Magnemite well because of Hidden Power Ice. And if you're fighting Chinchou, good fucking luck. It isn't always that great versus Pineco either. Pineco sometimes uses Toxic or Hidden Power Grass to mess up Graveler long term. Graveler also faces competition from Sudowoodo. While Sudowoodo can't use Rapid Spin, and it doesn't have Stab in its Earthquake, its lack of a 4x water weakness and better special defense let it handle more long term. Overall, Graveler is a decent Pokemon, but it's heavily flawed. It probably deserves more usage than it currently gets, but I can see why people would dismiss it. The current GSC/NU metagame is probably the low point of Graveler's career. In the Mr. Mime metagame, it was pretty good. Normal resists were in high demand back then because of Fearow and Lickitung. Graveler was a good rapid spin user too. Back then though, Haunter was in the tier, and Graveler could be shaky against it due to Haunter's higher special attack when compared to Ghastly. It was about as difficult to switch into as it is in the current metagame too, though it also had similar issues. Mr. Mime outsped and ravaged it, while Pikachu swept it away with Surf. Spikes weren't as common back then, so Rapid Spin wasn't in as high demand. This led most teams to prefer Sudowoodo. Graveler was still decent though. In 2018, Mr. Mime, Haunter, and Pikachu left GSCNU, and several UU Pokemon dropped down to NU. Weirdly enough, this was Graveler's peak. Despite all the water types, not to mention things like Surf Raichu, Graveler was an important part of the Raichu metagames. This was the slowest era of GSCNU, so Rapid Spin was very valuable. Raichu and the water types were much more difficult to break through without spikes. Graveler also dealt with Fearow and Curse normals, some of the few Pokemon who could threaten the Raichu plus Water Core on every single team. It was a very valuable asset in the stall-centric GSCNU metagame. Having a Rapid Spinner is important for defensive teams, and Graveler fulfilled that role nicely. It also checked non-surf variants of Raichu. Graveler continued its greatness when Feraligatr was banned. This metagame was centered around stall, and Graveler was one of the most important assets in the entire metagame. Like seriously, this thing is number 5 on the old GSCNU viability rankings. Who would have thought Graveler's peak would be the metagame dominated by water types? Graveler's glory days came to an end though, when Raichu, Poliwrath, and Golduck were banned. The new metagame is much more fast paced, so it's more difficult for Graveler to function. Early on, people realised Graveler wasn't that good, so it hasn't been seen nearly as much in the new metagame. Graveler can always bask in its glory days though, and remember the time it was one of the most important Pokemon in GSCNU.